Are you someone who likes creepy places? Have you ever seen a ghost before? If you're a real thrill seeker like me, then you have to go to the old Happy Land amusement park outside of town. You know, the one that closed down in the late 90s and was left to rot ever since. I went there last week, and I can honestly say that it was the creepiest place I've ever been to. For those of you that don't know the story, Happy Land was an amusement park that existed since the 80s, and it was the best part about living in this town or my town near us. It had rides and food and was a great place to pick up girls. At least that's what my dad would tell me. I was born in 1996. A long time after the incident. In the summer of 1992, a father and son were on a roller coaster that was way past its due date for service, and on the highest first dip of the coaster the two went flying thanks to a broken safety bar. It was all over the news if you want to Google it. Anyways, the two died, and a bunch of people say it. The wife sued the park and took a bunch of their money. Add that to the bad press meant Happy Land had to shut its gates the following year. So long to the best part of our town, I guess. But that's not where it ends. Over the years the lot just remained vacant with the equipment left to rust. So, teens started going there at night to get drunk. But they would come back with stories. Some people said they saw a boy and a man going up the roller coaster. Some said they saw the bloody mess of the mangled bodies. While others claimed that they were chased out by the two who are now crazed ghosts out for revenge on anyone who gets in their way. As long as I can remember, I've wanted to go there. To see the dead people. If they're real. I convinced some of my friends to go with me, and I can tell you for sure that the night did not disappoint. I was 16 and my friends Matt and Lucy joined me. None of us had been inside Happy Land before someone had told Matt that there was a hole in the back fence near the merry-go-round. When we got there, it was still open. Thank God for lazy caretakers. I can say for sure that just being alone in an amusement park is creepy enough. But take away the lights and add all the decrepit old machines, and you have the recipe for nightmares. We began to walk around. It was bright enough to see without a flashlight. It's amazing how your eyes adjust. First, we approached the roller coaster. After several minutes of silent waiting, we saw nothing. Eventually I suggested we move along. Why weren't the ghosts there? Had we been lied to? Next stop was the spook house. It was pitch black, but Lucy and I had both brought torches. As we walked through the maze-like structure, we saw all sorts of decaying props of monsters, ghosts and goblins. But again, nothing real. I was beginning to get pissed off that I had wasted so much time thinking about this place for nothing. Then I saw it. As I turned a corner to catch up to Matt and Lucy, I caught them kissing beside a vampire family. I don't know why, but this made me angry. Were they even taking this seriously? We can here to see ghosts, not to let these two start a relationship and leave me behind. I mean, I had asked them separately. They weren't even a couple. Why were they leaving me behind? I needed to kick things into overdrive if we were going to save this night. I suggested that climb up the roller coaster. Go to the point where the whole thing went down. Lucy won into the idea, but Matt convinced her and said he would keep her safe, wrapping his arms around her in the process. She didn't seem to mind. I was getting upset. We found the maintenance ladder on the coaster and climbed up to the track. It was neat to see the view of town from the structure, but be warned, the track is not as wide as you can imagine. We sat on the tracks and waited a while to see if the dad and son would show up. Nothing again. What the hell, ghosts? I decided that if there were not going to be any ghosts around, I would have to make my own entertainment. I figured if Matt can make a move on Lucy, why couldn't I? I moved in closer and made my move. I leaned in for a kiss. Nothing too invasive. Just a peck on the lips. To my horror, she lunges forward, avoiding me. Lucy and Matt jumped up in anger. What the hell, man? Matt yelled my direction as Lucy took a safe position behind him. I can't believe you two. We come here to search for ghosts and all you want to do is make out. How about showing some damn respect for the dead? I said, this holding back my rage. Why did she reject me? If she wasn't going to give me a kiss, I was going to take it. I lunged towards Lucy. Matt tried to get her out of the way but must have thought the track was wider. With one swoop of his arm he pushed Lucy to a 30-foot drop onto the concrete below. I didn't see her drop, it was too quick. By the time I saw her at the bottom she was a mess of blood and broken bones. It was a breathtaking sight. Way more intense than a ghost. I almost felt relieved that I had not wasted my evening before reality set in. I looked at the shivering mess that was Matt. He had just killed his girlfriend. Well, I don't know if they were official yet. Looking in his eyes I could tell that the guilt was going to eat him up, so I did the only thing I could. I pushed him. I watched almost in slow motion as his legs and arms flailed before the ground stopped him. He landed next to Lucy. Their two bodies mangled into one beautiful mess. I sat back down and watched the blood make a pool around them. I was hoping that it might make a love heart shape around them, but it didn't. I looked at my phone and it was 1 a.m. I better be getting home. I wish my phone had a camera on it, but my parents had gotten me a cheap piece of crap. I walked past the bodies. They stunk so bad, but I didn't mind. Seeing their deaths had made me feel so alive. I left their bikes where they left them and rode home. I actually slept like a baby. The next morning the Lucys and Matt's parents were calling everyone looking for their children. No one knew where to look until a few days later the caretaker of Happy Land found their rotting corpses under the roller coaster. It was all over the news. Teen lovers leaped to their doom. The press had decided to call it a suicide. The parents were adamant that their children were not the types of kids to do this sort of thing, but the press went with the story and made both sets of parents out to be the villains. They both eventually left town. At school we all were sat down in the gym and told that life was worth living. Everyone felt so sorry for Lucy and Matt. Only I knew the truth. They died because Lucy was a prude who wouldn't even give me one kiss and because Matt was an overprotective prick. They tried to board up Happy Land even tighter. It worked for a while, but kids being kids will always find a way in. They say that on the right night you can see Lucy and Matt sitting on the roller coaster holding hands. I haven't seen them yet, but I keep going back. I encourage you to go as well. If you have the nerve. It's honestly quite a creepy place, especially if you're alone. I go there every week or so, looking for ghosts. Either of the dad and son or Lucy and Matt. Or any of the other lives that have been lost by unlucky souls. You just have to come on the right night and you never know what you're likely to find. See you at Happy Land.